Today on Art Scene, we visit with New York City-based emerging artist Gavin Sewell at his studio in Brooklyn. We'll get an exclusive look into his inspiration, his process, and his latest works in progress.
For me, drawing and painting were both childhood passions, and as a kid, of course, you never think about why you're doing it in a bigger sense, but obviously, self-expression is a big part of it, and just the joy of the process.
What do you think is different about being an artist in New York City versus other places?
Well, there's a lot of things. One, there's the density of cultural exposure. Here in New York, we're lucky enough that every week, there are literally hundreds of gallery openings, and you have places like this. In this building alone, there's probably about 30 other painters, and just that amount of cross-fertilization and community is it's a really wonderful thing.
Can you tell us a little bit about your work and your process?
Sure. I usually start out with going through archives I keep of photos, found objects, things like that, and I'll find 3 or 4 that to me kind of fit together and start to tell sort of a loose story, and I'll put down a layer of paint, then incorporate sort of those key images, and then I'll start looking through my photos and things like that, and then start kind of expanding that story. And the process is kind of a push-pull between the feelings and the informality of the paint and the more literal meaning of the photographic images.
How do you know when something's complete?
It's a kind of intuitive thing. They sort of go in and out of states of doneness, where you add something or you take something away and suddenly it feels done for a while, and then you put something else in and then the piece is open again. But for a piece this size, I'll usually give myself 2 or 3 weeks.
What do you want someone to take away from your work? What kind of experience do you want the viewer to have?
I'm really trying to make pieces that you could look at for 30 or 40 years, in a person's lifetime, and keep finding new things in it.
Can you show me around your studio?
I would love to. This is sort of the main area where I work. A lot of the time with these sorts of pieces, I find it's a lot easier to work on a hard surface. This is sort of my kind of portable workstation. It's on wheels, so I can move it around the studio. Whenever I go to a used bookstore or something like this, right, or find a pile of magazines or something like that, I might take like 2 or 3 images out of a book that I really like.
So you typically work on multiple pieces at once?
Totally. Well, I find that pieces sort of reach bottlenecks, so just because you reach aesthetic or conceptual problems with the piece, right, and rather than force yourself to try and find a solution, if I switch over to this piece, then I can, give myself a little breathing room and then come back to this with fresh eyes.
Some of your a little more figurative works over here.
Yeah, I've been kind of going in 2 directions, actually. One of the things I've been doing is using the collage material to make sort of loosely recognizable representational images, usually figures. Same thing with this nude over here. Again, using a mixture of modern and classical imagery, but ultimately to use the collage material to make something clearly recognizable.
And this piece up here.
This was a commission for a French gallerist and interior designer that I did last year. And I love doing it because this one is it's a chronological history of the U.S. The stuff on the far left is from the colonial and pre-colonial period, and then it gets progressively more modern as you move through the stripes here.
And the top it says now.
And the top it says now.
That's great. That's awesome. Gavin, thanks so much for inviting us out to your studio and talking about your work. This is really, really great.
No, thank you. This was really, really fun. I know it's a long trip out here to Bushwick. Really appreciate it.
No, this was fun and a great experience, and thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time.